Voice of the Rock Lobsters, Matteen Rad, back with another episode of Lobster Tales here on the Athens Rock Lobster Network. My guest today is a winger from Calgary, and his name is Orca Wiesblatt. Orca, thanks so much for joining me today, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Listen, I wanted to get started with your season so far, and you've contributed at a high level in your time on the ice with the Rock Lobsters this season. Watching you as much as I have, you have such an all-around game, and you don't have a lot of chinks in your armor. No one knows your game as much as you. How would you describe your style of play?
Yeah, I think, I play a little bit of a different game than most people. I like to kind of slow the game down just a little bit. I like to think the game very, very well. I think for me, I'm more of a playmaker. So obviously, when you're playing with Millsy and Danny there, they can put the puck in the net. So it's fun for me to, be creative with my play style.
It's been so great to see you back on the ice after suffering an injury earlier on in the year against Monroe. Can you talk about the injury you sustained and what the recovery process looked like for you after surgery?
Yeah, for me, that sucked, obviously. Last year I broke my ankle, so, 2 injuries back to back is never fun. Wrist is feeling good. Obviously it was a process to get, the strength back and whatnot. But I feel good. With it being your top hand, you don't realize how much, you use your wrist and whatnot, but, I've adjusted to it and I feel good.
You had a difficult injury last season, as you just mentioned as well, when you were with the Pensacola Ice Flyers in the SP. I know it seems like those days are behind you with, the injury this year and the injury last year, but, how did you handle things and how frustrating was it since you left the WHL? Because it seems like it's been very sort of start-stop for you.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into it. Stopped playing for about 3 years just to, I had some family issues back home and whatnot. So I had to take care of some of that stuff. And then, 4 games in last year, snapped my ankle. That's no fun too. So for me, I'm just trying to stay healthy, take care of my body, making sure that I show up every day in practice or in games, just to keep, my body healthy enough to, not be hurt or, not take any risk on any injuries or whatnot. I take advantage of Chris quite a bit. So usually in the training room, kind of getting my body worked on after every game or after every practice, just, just so I don't get back into those injuries.
There's no doubt to me, Oryx, you have one of the most interesting stories in all of hockey. And the heroine of that story is your mother, Kim. For those who may be unaware, you grew up a CODA, or a child of a deaf adult, and she never let any of that get in the way of providing for you or your 4 siblings. What are your favorite qualities about your mother, and what inspires you about how she brought you, your brothers, and your sister up?
Yeah, one of a kind. Coolest mom out there. More than just, her personality. She's such a caring mom. She puts everything into, making us happy. She puts us first. She's a hero for sure. She we couldn't be doing what we were, what we do now without her. So that's kind of, one of the reasons why I call her a couple times a day just to check in, see how she's doing and whatnot. But yeah, she's put aside everything, just to make sure that we're all taken care of, on the ice or off the ice. Such a caring mom. And, yeah, she's the best.
I think being a child of a deaf adult, it's difficult for, people like me who had an upbringing with hearing parents to kind of put myself in those kinds of shoes. I was curious, what was your first communications as a baby like? Did you happen to remember what your first signed word was? And then do you remember what your first spoken word was?
I think my first signed one was milk. So just milk. I think that was pretty easy for me, but I learned sign language before I even learned English. And all the boys, the way that we learned English was, watching TV. Obviously, our parents can't speak. So for us, it was kind of just TV, It's a little bit different than most kids out there, but we found a way to kind of get through it, and um, yeah.
It's a topic that I've also talked about with your brother Ocean, who also played for the team this year. He experienced all the same nuances, but just a little bit before you did. How helpful was it to have someone who was hearing able to guide you through the early stages of a life that not many other people know the ins and outs of?
You're talking about Ocean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. He was the biggest role model. He was kind of like the dad in the family. Obviously, my parents split up while we were pretty young. I think I was 10, 11. And Osh was kind of, that dad role model of the family, kind of just protecting us and whatnot. Super, super protective brother. But, at the end of the day, not many people have that. So I'm super thankful for that. It was kind of just, to be honest with you, when we were younger, it was kind of just him and my mom, kind of just, helping out with the family, making sure everything's taken care of. If something goes down, Osh is usually there, translating with my mom at, a school or the grocery store, wherever. My mom's, she's good with that stuff. But for us, we're hearing, so we're always trying to kind of get in there and make sure that we can help out as much as we can. But, yeah, Osh was usually that one guy who took everything on his shoulders and kind of just, he was a dad role model.
For those who haven't watched it, there's a great Hometown Heroes segment, little 5-6 minute segment about you and your family. And something that I saw in that was that your mother put you and your brothers in sports to expand your ability to communicate and socialize. Do you believe that had its intended effect? And what else do you think sports taught you outside of the household?
Yeah, I think sports just gives me confidence. I'm without sports, I really don't know what, I'd be doing. I played so many different sports growing up: baseball, soccer, hockey, football, kind of just everything. And, for me, I feel like you make the best friends from playing sports. All my best buddies I've played with or played against. Just kind of that culture of, people who play sports, you kind of get that lingo or whatnot. Um, so for me, obviously it was huge. Not really sure what I'd be doing without, playing hockey or, back home, I usually play softball in the summertime and, a lot of golf and whatnot. But sports is, don't know what I'd be doing without it.
A large portion of the hockey community is familiar with the Wiesblatt boys. You, Ocean, your brother Ozzy, and we'll talk more about him, and also Oasis. 4 brothers that all play hockey, but someone who gets lost in the mix, and probably a lot of that has to do with her young age, is your sister Oceania. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Oceania.
Yeah.
Has she shown some of the same interest in sports, or maybe even hockey specifically?
She hates it. She hates it. She had to, go to the rink and watch all 4 boys play her entire life, so she hates it. But she's a sporty girl though. She's a very active girl. She's more into like horseback riding and all that kind of stuff. Hockey's the no-go for her though. She'll never strap on the boots. She'll never hockey's not for her, but she loves horses. She loves all that kind of stuff. It's more her. She's more of a girly, obviously, 4 boys. We're pretty protective too, so I don't think she'll be finding a boyfriend anytime soon.
I was going to say 4 hockey playing brothers. She must be the safest girl in Calgary, huh?
Yeah, you should. My little brother Oasis, he's a little Rottweiler in our family. He's the obviously just because he's closest to her age, but it's fun. It's we got such a fun family. Summertime's so much fun. I just saw my mom for the first time in a year and a half, obviously, when I went down to go see Oz. And that was just the best thing ever. She's in London, Ontario right now. So summertimes I spend it I'm usually in Calgary or Vancouver. So I don't get to spend too much time with her. She moved out, I think, 2 years ago. So seeing her for the first time was awesome.
When I first met you and your brother Ocean, and knowing kind of the trend among your name, I mean, obviously Ozzy bucks that trend, but Oceana, Ocean, Orca, Oasis, all sort of, let's say nautical themed names. What was the inspiration from your mother to go that route? Do you know?
I think she's just she's a big time hippie. We were born in Bowen Island. So basically it's just kind of just right off of Vancouver. It's just a little island. We had a house kind of just on the ocean. So for me, apparently she's seen, orca whales all the time. So that's why she named me Orca. Ocean was just because of the ocean. Ozzy, I have no idea. I think Ozzy Osbourne, the singer. Oasis, no idea. And then Oceana is just spelt, it's ocean with an I and an A at the end. So not really sure what the background from that is, but I get that question quite a bit and I just never know how to answer it.
That brings us to the next topic, which is your brother Ozzy, who made his NHL debut with the Nashville Predators right at the start of the new year. No doubt there's a great feeling in your heart seeing a Wiesblatt make it to the show, but I want to know if it feels like a fruition of everyone's hard work, from your mom to you and Ocean, who kind of paved the way, or do you view it as something that he accomplished completely on his own?
I think it was just him. Obviously growing up, we trained so hard together, but at the end of the day, uh, the way that guy works is just, it's night and day. Just it's so special to see how hard that guy trains. Summertime, he's in the gym. If he's not in the gym, he's taking care of his body. If he's not taking, he's always doing something. So, um, as much as I want to take credit, it's all his hard work and his passion for the game. And when you love something so much, you don't really like to do anything else. And that's kind of him. He just hockey, hockey, hockey. So um, yeah, couldn't be more proud for him.
I saw the behind the scenes footage of the post game after his NHL debut, and he gets recognized by Steven Stamkos. Did you get a chance to ask him what that was like? Because Stammer must be someone that I'm sure you and your brothers all looked up to as young guys.
Yeah, not even just him. I spent a little bit of time with a couple of those Nashville guys and so many good guys. Stammer, that was pretty cool. Obviously, I talked to him a little bit after that, and he said that was probably the coolest moment, he's ever been a part of. But there's probably 6, 7 great leaders on that team. So for him to just be in that locker room, he feels so special, and he's got all the help that he needs around him. And then the way that guy is he's not shy to kind of ask for questions. He's not shy on how can I do this better? How can I do this? And he's always I think he's close enough with those guys where he's open to kind of having those conversations on how he can help his game. But yeah, that was a really, really cool moment.
You were coming off the last couple of weeks of your injury when you went back home to go watch Ozzy play. How much of that was a boost in your engine to really want to get back going on the ice and getting back to doing what you love?
Yeah. I mean, I was off for about 2 months, so watching our games, it's I love watching our games. That's why I was on the bench for a little bit, just to kind of read how other players are playing, read on how some of the players on our team are playing, and how I can kind of you know try and make myself put an impact on myself on how I can improve myself out there, and what we need as a team and whatnot. Yeah, so that was definitely put some fire in the engine. Obviously first game back, I was so pumped to even play, and not even just coming back for the first game, but in Monroe, like that's where I got hurt. So um, I was just fired up. I wanted to play good. I wanted to help the team win. Um, that was definitely an impact on how I performed the first game.
Something that I'm sure also added some gas to your tank back in the day was playing against your brothers back in the WHL days. Is it difficult not to focus on what they're doing on the ice when you're playing against them and focus on yourself, or are you wanting to get the better of your flesh and blood?
It's a good question. So Ozzy and Oasis were a little bit different. I grew up kind of just playing with Ocean most of my life. Obviously, he's a year older than me, so I was always kind of up a level playing with them. Playing against Ozzy, that was super, super cool. So that was Ozzy and me are a little bit more competitive just because he's a little bit younger than me. So I was kind of giving it to him that game. Oasis, on the other hand, he's my little baby brother. So I was a little scared to kind of, go hard on him. Not scared, but, I wanted to make sure that he looked good too. So obviously completely different playing Oasis and Ozzy. Ozzy was a little bit more physical on, he can take it. Now Oasis, he's a beast. He fights, he scores goals, makes plays. I wouldn't fight him now. So I'm glad I went easy on him when I played him.
No doubt, can't wait to see what becomes of your younger brothers' hockey careers that are still blossoming. Back to your career, and it was interesting that the first line that Coach Martinson ever puts out is a combination of you, Garrett Milan, and Malik Johnson, three guys that all know each other from the Pensy days. How poetic did it feel to get on the ice with this new team, but have two guys that you know very well in the center and the other side of you?
Yeah, I mean, two great hockey players. Different hockey players, but start with Mallow. Mallow is he's such a good hockey player. He might not be flashy, but he does everything right. He works so hard. Smart hockey player too. Extremely physical. Not a player you kind of want to play against. Millsy, super super skilled. Fun playing with him. Me and him kind of, especially now we're on a line. That chemistry that we have. It's pretty good, especially when we're both kind of buzzing some games. I don't feel my best, but, I try to contribute somehow. But Millsy, he's such a complete hockey player as well, where, I trust him when I'm, deep in the zone where he's a little bit back, where, if I make a mistake, I know that he's going to cover me, or vice versa. If he makes a mistake, I try and cover him. Two great hockey players, though.
Well, Orca, talking to you about you and your story has been one of my favorite chats of the year thus far. Thanks so much for taking the time, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.